I would like to welcome everyone once again to Antigua and Barbuda. So welcome to our beautiful island. Isn't it a beautiful island from what you've seen so far? Yeah!
Traditionally, Danes have three things we excel in when it comes to Olympic sports. And that's badminton, that's handball, and that's sailing. So you would think, me being Danish, I would be excellent in sailing. I'm gonna find out. I'm at the National Sailing Academy, and for the next couple of hours, I'm going with a group from this tour to try to learn how to sail. Let's see how that's gonna work out for me.
So if Amelia was the wind, and I want to get to Amelia, yeah, I would have to go towards, what's your name?
Pella.
Pella?
Close enough.
Okay, close enough. I'll have to go towards close enough. And then
Welcome back to Antigua, the main island of the country Antigua and Barbuda in the Caribbean. My name is Palabo, and this is the Radio Vagabond.
Alright guys, let me ears for a second. Okay, so this boat is called an RS Cuba. Anybody have an idea of where the wind is coming from? Go again?
Like this one. Huh?
Anybody else?
That way? It's changing all the time.
So let me see the hands. Don't be shy. Important to know where the wind is coming from. The reason being, you cannot sail straight into the wind. Yeah? You have to sail like a 45-degree angle of the wind at any direction you're going. Yeah? So if the wind is coming from, what's your name? Amelia. So if Amelia was the wind, and I want to get to Amelia, yeah, I would have to go towards, what's your name?
Pella.
Pella?
Close enough.
Okay, close enough. I'll have to go towards close enough. And then after, I'll have to turn towards, what's your name? Emily. And then once I get towards Emily, I'll have to come towards Daniel. And then from I get to Daniel, then I can turn and I'll get to Amelia. Yeah? So it's not complicated. Yeah, it's quite easy.
So, maneuvering a small sailboat is not complicated. We will soon find out just how easy it is.
You sit down like toes together, knees together, or in what they call a ladylike fashion. Yeah? Till extension here, you hold it like a microphone.
Let me give you a few more facts about this country. Antigua and Barbuda is one of the smallest countries in the world, both in population and in size. As I already mentioned in the last episode, there are around 80,000 people living here in Antigua and Barbuda. It's 170 square miles, a little bit smaller than Andorra and a little bit bigger than Malta. The official language is English. The currency is East Caribbean dollars, but you can just as well use American dollars. The biggest of the two islands, and the one we're on, is Antigua. It's around 30 miles south of Barbuda. Here on this island is a population of 65,000 people. Half of them living in the capital, St. John, on the northwest coast. The island of Antigua is 40 miles long and 11 miles wide. Every year, 10 times that number in tourists, around 700,000. Back to the Sailing Academy.
So watch out for this. So should we cut across there? Where are we going then?
In for the power cat.
So we're turning again, are we?
We're gonna follow that one.
Then all of us get into 3 or 4 small sailboats, 4 in each, with an instructor. We take turns on being the captain of the boat. We had to move from one side to the other whenever we change directions. And that's where we should pay attention and keep our heads down when the boom under the sail moved from one side to the other.
Boom's coming.
Boom in the middle.
At some point it was young Jamie, our local fitness instructor, that was the captain. He forgot to warn us and the boom wind came with great speed right towards my head. I only just took my head down, otherwise it would have hit me smack in the forehead and most likely knocked me out or in the water. But thank God I survived, because there are so many other great adventures ahead of us here in Antigua. And when we come back, you can join us as we go to Shirley Heights with an amazing view for the sunset, and I speak to the woman who founded the place. That's in a minute on the Radio Vagabond when the program continues. Produced by radioguru.co.uk, this is the Radio Vagabond. My name is Palabo. Stay with us. I share so much about what I do in this podcast, and now I'd like to hear from you. Where are you and what are you doing right now when you're listening to these words? One of the emails I already got was from Carsten. He sent this brief email. Hi Palle, I'm making a sandwich for my daughter while I'm listening to you. I've been following you since you started your journey. It's a super interesting podcast you have. All the best from Denmark, Carsten. Thank you so much, Carsten. And I would so much like to hear from you as well. And you don't have to write more than what Carsten just did. Just tell me where you are and what you're doing right now. Send your email to listener@theradiovagabond.com. If you're using WhatsApp, you can also send me a voice message. Send it to +45 40 105 105. Thank you.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
What do you think? What do you think?
I liked it. I think I was quite good at it. I was a natural, wasn't I, guys? Shut up. I was better than you. Yeah, it was fun.
Nobody fell in the water or get hit by the boom? Or... At some point the boom just came like this. Right over my head.
You were...
Yeah, we were.
The highest peak of Antigua used to be called Bogey Peak. It rises 1,319 feet, so you can hardly call it a mountain. But they do now. On August 4th, 2009, and Barack Obama's 48th birthday, the Antiguan Prime Minister, Baldwin Spencer, renamed it to Mount Obama. We're going to another place with a view, Shirley Heights, a perfect spot for a sunset. It's on the south tip of the island and overlooking the English harbor. It is so beautiful, and every night it draws a crowd for that view. There's a small grill and a bar serving rum punch, and a great steel band. According to the managing director of the place, Valerie, it's the best steel band in the world.
My name is Valerie Hodge, and I'm the managing director here at Shirley Heights Lookout Enterprises Limited.
Oh, that's a fancy name for it.
Shirley Heights Lookout Enterprises Limited. We are fancy. We are on top of the world.
We are on top of the world, and we're here to watch the sunset. There's the steel drum.
The steel band is going now.
Yeah.
The Halcyon Steel Band, and they're the best steel band in the world.
They are so good.
And I have factored in every bias, and I still think they're the best steel band in the world.
Yeah. Now we're on top of a hill with a magnificent view, and especially at sunset, it's just amazing.
Yes.
But it wasn't like this when you first discovered it or started planning to say, hey, we could do something with this.
Yes, the view was always magnificent. But the buildings, we started here. Our start date is November 1st, 1981, which is exactly the same date as Antigua's independence.
Oh.
So we chose that very strategically. And we started off very small. This building that you're looking at, this small building that is now our gift shop, that used to be our kitchen. And we had tiny little cabanas outside. There may have been 3 or 4. My brother, God rest his soul, he was the one who managed here in the beginning. And when we had big parties, and we have a really huge party on Sundays, and I hope you can come back because we've had a party
I heard about that Sunday party.
every Sunday for as long as we've been here. We've had a party every Sunday. And we used to make 5 gallons of rum punch, and that was more than adequate. At that time, there were more people playing in the band than there were people who attended.
But the band, they took some rum punch as well.
No, they're not allowed to drink until after. But now, if we don't start off with 110 gallons of rum punch,
You are kidding.
we make rum punch in big vats now.
Oh my God.
Because it's a big seller. It's a big seller. It's what fuels our party.
What did this place used to be back in the old days?
Oh, when the British regiments were here in the beginning, in the late 1700s and into the 18s, many of the buildings that you see around were accommodation. So what is now our bathroom that used to be the part of the barracks, you would have passed the officers' quarters on the way coming up. And this building here, this was the powder magazine where powder and ammunition was kept.
Yeah.
And you will notice that there was a breach in the gun placement wall, and there were actually cannons that stuck out of that. So the British were here waiting for a war that just never came. But they wore, tweeds and British clothing, and I'm sure many more of them died of sunstroke than they did of anything else.
And they didn't have any rum punch.
No, if they had, they wouldn't have got Berry. But at that time, we weren't around, so they didn't know about Shirley Heights rum punch.
No. So it's every night, but especially on a Sunday, it's good to come here.
Especially on a Sunday, and now that we're growing this Thursday party, a number of people, it's families like it because it's not quite as crowded. 800 people come through our Sunday party.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of
That's
people.
a lot of people, and it goes from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So you better take your vitamins if you're going to come, Pella. You better take your vitamins.
Thank you so much, Valerie. I love this place.
I love it too. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me.
Before we continue, I just want to say a deep, heartfelt thank you to the people who wrote a review in iTunes or your podcast app. Thank you.
It may sound as if we're in a party bus right now. Maybe we are. We're about to go on a so-called safari here in Antigua, and we're not going to be looking at animals. We're going to be looking at different stuff. I have no idea what's exactly is going to happen, but we're a bus full of people now, and this is going to be a fun afternoon here in Antigua.
I would like to welcome everyone once again to Antigua and Barbuda. My name is Bernadette. Bernadette is my name, and I'm sure you're familiar with Sean, who is our driver today. So welcome to our beautiful island. Isn't it a beautiful island from what you've seen so far? Yeah! Okay, but you have seen a lot of things, but you have not heard some of the things about the island. So that is what I'm here to do, to tell you things about our island. So I'm going to take you way, way back in history. It was 1493 when Christopher Columbus sighted Antigua. When he sighted the island, he called it Santa Maria la Antigua de la Civil. Now, we all know Christopher Columbus was Italian by birth, but anything he discovered, he named it after places in Spain. Hence, Antigua was called after a cathedral in civil Spain. Now, I've just said Antigua, some say Antigua. Have you heard both pronunciations? Antigua is the Spanish pronunciation because of the whole Columbus thing. And in Spanish, Antigua means ancient. But we were colonized by the British in 1632, so it's pronounced Antigua. So now we're going to one of the highlights here. Sean told me I've not been to this spot. It's called Devil's Bridge.
Our first stop of this safari was actually very close to where we live. It's a must-see by the coast called Devil's Bridge.
So Bernadette, we're at Devil's Bridge. What's the story about this? It's a nature phenomenon. It's not a man-made bridge.
No, it's not man-made. It's natural formation. And just a little sad story behind Devil's Bridge, that this area was surrounded by at least about 20 sugar plantations, and when most of the slaves were badly mistreated, not being treated well on the various sugar plantations, this is where they used to, one of the areas that they used to run, and unfortunately when they got here, they commit suicide.
Yeah. And when we hear you have no landmass all the way to Africa, so they could be here, and I don't know if they knew that I'm coming from over there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there were no landmass, and we have to keep in mind, remember they came across the Atlantic on the slave trade, and their main purpose when they got here was to work the sugar plantation. It is actually said, according to the museum, over 200 sugar plantation was started here by the British. And their main purpose was to work the various sugar plantation. And it is said that most of the African slaves that came here came from the Gold Coast, which we know today as Ghana.
But it's absolutely beautiful, and I guess it's one of the must-sees when you're in Antigua.
Definitely one of our favorite spots to be.
And we're actually right next door to our the resort that we're staying at.
Veranda.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very beautiful. So we have a few more sites to show you, so come along.
What's next for us? Are you going to reveal anything?
No, I like to hold on to some surprise.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
And I can take anything you can throw at me, and nothing can get me down. Life is looking so bright, the sun is up again. I'm feeling like I could fly. No clouds in my way, no. And I'm living the good life. And I'm living the good life now. I'm living the good life, and nothing can get me down, no.
Before we continue, I just want to say a deep, heartfelt thank you to the people who wrote a review in iTunes or your podcast app. This means so much to me. Thank you.
Lifted up on your shoulders, I can see the whole world. There's nothing that I cannot do, no. You and me together, we got this thing down, and nothing we cannot do. No clouds in our way, no. And I'm living the good life. I'm living the good life now. I'm living the good life, and nothing can get me down, no, no. Life's got a way of pushing you, but we got the strength to push on through. 'Cause there's not a place that we can see if we don't live what we believe.
Sure, most of the Caribbean is warm and sunny, but Antigua holds the distinction of being the sunniest of the eastern Caribbean islands. Temperatures average mid-70s in the winter and mid-80s in the summer. That's 21 Celsius in the winter and 27 in the summer. The next stop on our trip was a place where they serve some great street food in a paper cup.
What's your name?
Olsen.
Olsen.
This is actually like a gumbo. If you have had gumbo, it's actually like a gumbo. It's a mixture of green vegetables, spinach, zucchini, okra, and pumpkins. You cook that together and then you mash it up. You don't put it in a processor because you don't want to get it too, you don't want to mix it too much, so you don't put it in the processor. And then you add some black eyed beans and some white flour dumplings. One pot has some chicken and the other pot has pork.
Yeah, I think there's some pig chicken in this.
Yes.
And we get it in a plastic coffee cup with a lid. It's so good. Is this typical for Antigua?
It is. It is. Most times you find the traditional Antiguan, we go with fungi. You might know it as polenta. Yeah, but because that takes a lot of attention, I can't do that here.
No.
So that's why I use a lot of dumplings so that you get something solid inside of it.
Yeah. I love it. It's just what I needed right now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
By now you have to know how many beaches are here on the island.
365.
And
Soon
if-
to be 67.
Very much so. But here we go. If there is a leap year, what do? We go to the same beach twice. Okay?
The country is nicknamed Land of 365 Beaches due to the many beaches surrounding the islands. With one beach for every day of the year, it's also a popular place for weddings. It's estimated that there are 1,200 weddings here every year, many of them on a white sandy beach like the one where we ended our island safari. There are so many activities planned out for us here in Antigua, and in the next episode we'll go hiking, canoeing and bicycling and meet the former Miss Antigua. Much more to come here from Antigua. The trip to Antigua was made possible by Antigua and Barbuda Tourism and Elite Island Resorts, but everything I've said in this episode is my genuine opinion. You can see more on visitantiguabarbuda.com and verandaresortandspa.com. The Radio Vagabond is produced by radioguru.co.uk. On the radiovagabond.com you can see pictures and all the links I mentioned. My name is Palabo. See you in a few days.